We are Legion.
We are all.
We are one.
We are
Watching. Florida Illuminati.
Hey folks, welcome back. We are here with you today for a very special conversation with a friend of the pod and a big mover and a shaker in the world of digital cards. I know he would be embarrassed for me to say that, but it's true. His article has launched 1 billion fans, and that, of course, is Germain Lussier. How are you today, sir?
I am good. Thanks, Greg.
Did I pronounce that properly?
Yeah, close enough. I mean, it was like 98% there. So
Lussier.
better than usual.
Is it
I said
Lussier?
Germain Lussier.
Huh?
Germain Lussier.
Lussier,
Which
okay.
It's Americanized version of the French pronunciation. But.
I was in the neighborhood.
Yes, it was good. It was good.
Just don't call me late for dinner. So we've had you on before, and you had the pleasure of speaking to Mr. Biggs in the past. Who's that's a blast. I just sign me up for that. I love talking to that guy. But the reason we have you with us tonight is because you've been kind of at the epicenter of a breaking news story, if you could call that. Anything in this weird world of digital card collecting, a major news story. This is one. So I'm going to let you tell the story of what this is and how did this happen.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. It's funny. Like this whole thing starts kind of with you guys, with that conversation with Biggs, because it happened. I'm like you said, I opened this app like in 2015, like 2 weeks after. I think like my first big draw was like the vintage Tarkin, which is like the second card, in that set. And I did it for about 2 years, pretty seriously. Not a lot of money. I didn't play to spend a lot, but then I fell off for 2 years. Then came back earlier this year during quarantine and everything like that. Actually, and the Topps guys had reached out to me and say, "Hey, we're bringing vintage back. What do you think?" And so So by the time I got into it a little bit, and then I tweeted at Mark because I had talked to him. And then Biggs jumped in, I talked to him, and that's how I got on, met all you guys, all the Hoardcast people and their Discord. I was just looking for somewhere to talk about this because I used to have friends, but after like 5 years, no one wanted to talk about this anymore. Especially not like my wife. I was like, what, again with the Star Wars cards? So I joined the Facebook group, and that was just, it's crazy. It's just so many different levels of players there that it's not really that much fun. And so then I immediately fell in with, you guys, and I enjoyed talking to you guys and all these things. And then through that, I didn't really know much about like the real high end of Star Wars card collecting, all the gildeds and the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s. I didn't know what 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 meant. Like when I first came on, I didn't know any of this stuff. And I definitely had seen people like hoard and stuff, but I didn't really know anything about it. So that's like April-ish. And, over the summer, I get super duper into it. And I start collecting all the Haunted Carbonite cards and all the Hoth Harm cards I can get. And in that pursuit of trying to get every one of them, I finally come across the Mac Daddy of all accounts, Mac 13.
Yeah, and in name as well as in reputation.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. And so he had all these 1cc Han cards that, he couldn't get anywhere else, obviously. So I'd sent him a trade, and then I never heard back. And then I figured out that you can look at his date acquired stuff. And I saw that he only had like a couple from 2020 base cards. And the last insert he had was like, "This is the way." And I'm like, man, he hasn't been on here in a while. So I just kind of, and every like couple of days I would check, and I would always look at the number of cards he had. I would just go to his homepage, and if the last 3 digits were 496, I knew 496 was he hadn't touched the app. So I did that every couple of days, and I would go, and I basically gave up on it. I collected as many of the Season 3 Han Carbonite bases I could without the one he had, and a couple other things, and blah, blah, blah. And then eventually I realized like Mac 13 is kind of like a unique name. Let me Google this, right? And I Google it, and this is probably in like August or September. And I found a couple of hits. And so like I reached out to a guy on like Instagram, and like I found a website and a Twitter account, and I was like, oh, this might be it. Like if the guy's name is @Mac13 on Twitter, he's probably the same guy. but like it was a different it was like he was like some other profession. But I reached out to the link and never heard back on Instagram. I reached out on Twitter, and as like a journalist, I'm verified on Twitter, so they probably see my @ message. Never heard anything back, and just kind of gave up on it. And then one of the fellow Hoardcast members, Aja Marie, I don't know how you pronounce it, whatever.
Aja Marie. I always call her Aja Marie.
We were talking about Mac, because we had all been talking about Mac's account somewhere, and she was like, "Hey, like I started looking into this. Did you ever see this?" And she sent me kind of the stuff I'd seen before, and it was those accounts, and I'm like, "Yeah, I've seen that." She goes, "But did you see this?" Like, I think this is. She's like, "I think he's more active on Facebook," and I didn't think to look at Facebook. So look at Facebook, and yeah, this guy has like updated his account like a couple days ago, and I was like, all right. So I reach out on Facebook. I wait like 2 weeks, nothing, and then like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 happened, and I was like, I'm not reaching out to him because if I get in contact with him, he comes back. I know he likes Han and Carbonite, so I do not want to compete with him. So
Right.
I waited another couple of weeks, reached out again, nothing, and then I was just like, on his Facebook, it tells me what city he lives in. So I was like, all right, so if this guy is the Mac 13, and then like on his account, like there was things that showed he liked Star Wars. He had photos with like Star Wars shirts on and things like that. It wasn't like prevalent, but this guy liked Star Wars. And he was an older guy, obviously, had money, not like a ton of money, but enough money. He wasn't like, fucking whatever, Bill Gates, but did fine for himself. So I take his name from his Facebook, his real name, which I won't say, and his city that he apparently lives in, and I Google it, and it gives me a couple addresses. And so I was like, that's creepy. I feel like this is so creepy.
Such a stalker. Such a stalker.
So stalkery. And so I think I reached out on Facebook a second or third time at this point and never wrote back because, if you aren't enough friends with the person, it kind of gets buried in the message request. Unless you're like real good on that stuff, you won't notice it. So I had this address and I was like, whatever, let me send him a letter. So I write up a letter, and the letter is like, like, you don't know me. This is super weird, but I collect this thing, Star Wars Card Trader, and there's a guy that has your, a user account, and it's like the best account in the whole thing. And there's a couple cards in there I would love for my collection. This is my phone number and my email. I would love to talk to you about them, maybe purchasing them or anything, And I sent that. I look back. I sent that on like October 18th. The letter. I just like put a stamp on it, wrote it. I typed the letter, but I signed it. And
you used an actual typewriter too, an old fashioned
actual typewriter.
Yes, not even electric. It was, you had to really get in there.
Yes. And so 11 days later, I get an email, and it's like, and I get a lot of emails. So like I can sort of pick out the important ones. You're like, oh, well, this one is like from a human and not like a press release or something. And the subject line was Star Wars Card Trader. And he's like, hey, it's Mac 13. I got your letter. You found me. Let's talk.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And I was like, oh my God. And so I sent him like, I've been waiting for this moment. So I sent him like, oh my God, this is great. Your collection's amazing. I love Han Carbonite and Han Solo, and these are the cards I want. And, like I'm thinking either you sell me the cards or you, I could try to help you sell other cards and this and that, or we can try to sell your account. I was like, there's so many options, or if you want to get back into it, it's just great to hear from you. And it didn't hear back for like days. And then like, I would be like, hey, did he hear anything? Like a week later, it's like, hey, Mac, did you hear? Did you get my note? And he's like, oh yeah. And he would just answer like one of my like 7 questions. And I'd be like,
the least important one.
Right. Yeah. He'd be like, oh yeah. Actually. Yeah, that's cool. And I'd be like, what's cool? And so we exchanged emails sporadically for about 6 weeks. And so like and every time I'd get a little bit more information out of him. And eventually he kind of was like, yeah, I don't, he basically is obviously, I was a huge fan and really loved it. But he said he kind of, after I guess Rise of Skywalker, didn't like it and wasn't really into Mando, I guess, and just kind of was like, I don't like Star Wars as much anymore, and just kind of fell off. Wow. Not kind of realizing what he was sitting on.
I think he had to have known. I mean, he's got to have an idea of how much he spent, but
yeah, I guess so.
You would think.
you'd think, I mean, depending on how long he did it, but still, like, yeah, there's no way you have like every single one of like these like gold gilded whatevers and didn't either spend aftermarket or spend so many crystals to get stuff to trade. It's insane. Like,
Well, and in those days, like the ones that he had, really the biggest corner on the market was the blueprints.
yeah,
Those were bundles. You didn't buy. They didn't have secondary currency yet. Wouldn't it?
yeah,
Imagine that magical world. I used to live in it, but everything was a bundle. You buy $5 and it would give you a chance. Sometimes, and then usually some kind of little follow up, like a concession prize, a little consolation prize.
okay, yeah. Because I got earlier today, I was looking at the mechanics on essentials. Yeah, and it was like you had to. It was like if it was credits, it was like a 1 in 100, and if you bought that pack, it was still 1 in 30. So you had to buy like $5 packs, and you have to buy 30 of them to get one at $5 a piece, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, they at first everything was guaranteed in bundles, and then eventually they got to the point where they would sell you a bundle with odds. Basically, you were buying on odds, just cash money. Here's $5. Oh, you
Yeah,
didn't get it. Here's $5. Oh, you got it. Congratulations.
that's about the time that I punched out of it because
Yeah.
I remember I think it might have been the reflection set or something a little bit after that where I was like, man, I want these, but that is just too much. It's just too much. And even then, I wasn't making as much as thankfully I am now, doing better. But like, so anyway, you're right. He obviously has spent a lot of money on this collection, and finally he's like, I'm willing. He's like, I don't want to sell it, but I'm kind of interested in you helping me sell it. I don't really know kind of what's here. And I was like, okay. I was like, I obviously I know the market a little bit, having bought a lot of cards off eBay myself or through people on Facebook. And I look at eBay at least like once a day to see what's out there if anything I like pops up. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that for you. I just want to get paid in cards. So he's like, send me a trade. And I sent him the trade for like the top 9 Hans I want for like, like he'd buy, and he just accepted it. And then all of a sudden all my Han rainbows were complete.
Wow.
And I'm like,
So now you have to start earning it, right?
now I got to earn it. And so I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then the hard thing is at that point, like remember I said the emails were really sporadic. So it was hard. I had to be like, I'd be like, man, I need your phone number or something, because I need to be able to like get in touch with you. If somebody's going to spend a couple $100s on some cards, I can't have you waiting 3 weeks. Then you'll be like, oh, what person is it?
Mm-hmm.
So, but he Audra Marie figured out like he's pretty active on Facebook. So he was like, connect with me on Facebook Messenger. So I'm connected with him on Facebook Messenger, and I can, he responds to me quick. And then I started with the people in the Hoardcast because, like I said, they're the kind of people who kind of got me into this and kind of took me to this next tier of Star Wars card trader. And, you guys had some stuff. And then I went into a couple other Discords and people bought stuff. And that first week I spent about 5 hours a day for like 3 days in a row, just selling cards,
Just routing sales and
writing
trading.
sales. Like I just being like, what do you want? And then I had like a list of people on Discord, and I'd be like, okay, this, and I'd go for 5 hours every day. And then for like 3 or 4 days. And then it sort of slowed down. And now I opened up to Facebook, and Facebook, I created an email address so that I don't have to mess with it on my personal Facebook. So now I have an email address that's mac13swct@gmail, and you can email there, and I'll be like, I'll give you a price, and I have a set of instructions on how to work it out. And yeah, it's great. And so like every couple days, if I make a bunch of sales, he's like, what cards do you want? And it's great. And I love it.
It's been God's work for the community, because there's so many things that were in that account. Before he fell off the face of the earth, Mac was always a very difficult trader to deal with. He was very super enigmatic. I mean, he's like the Wolverine of Star Wars card trader. We couldn't figure that guy out. What moved him? What motivated him? We never could get a handle on what exactly it was that he liked. He was very cagey about his desires. There were things that was clearly he was super committed to, like the blueprint gildeds and things like that. But you'd send him a trade, and sometimes he'd counter back for the craziest stuff, the nicest. I mean, literally like, okay, yes, please. Yes, I will smash accept on that like crazy. But he would never communicate in app at all. and that's kind of a mainstay of the app, is a little back and forth,
Yeah.
between people. Some people take it too far, but he never would say a word.
Yeah, and if you look at his collection, there's no real kind of focus to it, where a lot of us are focused on characters or movies or series. Like he just kind of has everything. It's crazy, and
Right, and
so
he wouldn't lock, he wouldn't favorite. It was impossible to read him.
yeah. Well, he actually, by the time he went off, a lot of stuff was locked because one of the first things I did, and the first kind of hints that people started to get that he was back, was I asked him to open his app and to unlock everything, mainly because my die cut 1C was locked and that was my number one thing I wanted. And so, but once he did that, he opened like a cargo drop and had 2021 base in it. And I had somebody message me who I talked to about Mac in the past. And they were like, oh my God, he's back. And then on Facebook, it like 2 weeks later, people realized that he's back. And it's gotten to a point now where, well, obviously everybody knows that he's selling his stuff. Well, not everybody, because there's definitely people who I'm like, how haven't I heard from you yet? Like, how do you not? I look at their collections. I'm like, how haven't I heard from you yet? I have what you need. And I feel weird like reaching out an app or anything like that. But yeah, someone on Facebook was like, oh my God, like he declined my trade. I've had this trade up for like months and he finally just declined it. So I know he's in the app. And that was when I was like, oh man, I better cut this off. And I'm like, hey, yeah, he's back. I got info for you tomorrow. And that's when I created the email and everything. So like, yeah, it was just wild. And it's actually funny. Like I realized today I was looking at his account for a trade somebody wanted, and he had a four score of 1.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Sold 0.1 million. He's now down to 1.1 million.
Yeah, he'll still, I think you could probably sell off that account for months and he'd still be the top. I think he'd probably still be the best account in the app.
Yeah. I mean, I think especially via score. I mean, like I know like a bunch of guys in the Hoardcast are like 500, 600, and like that guy HW23 is a huge like 800 maybe, but no, nobody's over a million. I don't think.
I have the same, I know I'm having the same problem as some of my other friends, like my friend Matt, MD Jacobus.
Yeah.
We have to stop looking at that account. We have to stop looking right now because we want our families to have Christmas and our families and our kids to love us and enjoy their lives. And we're not going to if we go and get everything that we want out of that account.
Well, that's the beauty of. So I put in a lot of work, but that's the thing. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll pick up a reflection set today. Why not? Like just because like I'm on the clock again. It's like the draft, like 2 days, every couples of big sales. It's like, oh, I'm up again. Let's see what I want. And I basically have every Han or stuff I want. And I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it got to a point where I'd look at cards that he doesn't have that I wanted and contact people and be like, hey, is there anything you'd like in the Mac account? Because, I sort of can, if I work enough, can get paid in these cards and I can trade you what you need. And that's how I got a couple cards I never thought I wanted. Like I got the gold gilded Han Hoth VCS. Then I was able to put that rainbow together. And then just last night, I got the Falcon 1 count from 2019. Along with the 3 and the 5, I already had the 2, so I found a 4, blind traded, like a way overpaid just because like I needed it. Boom, got it, and I woke up with that rainbow, and I was like, I'm looking at my account, and it's just like I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I love it so much, and it's crazy to be talking to you now after that because when I talked to Biggs the first time, I was like, I had just hit my first gold gilded, first and last maybe. Gold gilded in a pack, and that guy HW came to me and traded me a gold Hoth Han for it. Mm-hmm. It was the first time that like I had a card everybody wanted, and the blind trades are open.
Bell of the ball, you're the bell of the ball.
Yeah, it was the first time I kind of saw this upper level, and so when I was like talking about it on that podcast, like no one knew, and now I know that like I sounded like a douche. Because I was like a Facebook guy. It's like, oh my God.
I didn't think you sounded like a douche. You sounded like a nice guy.
It's like, did you know that there's these things called gilded cards and people like them? Like I had no idea. And so it's been a sharp learning curve over the past couple of months. But yeah, like it was. And so, yeah, what's great about the Mac stuff is it's obviously kind of a weird, fun story, but also, as you can tell, I'm happy. He's very happy when I talk to him. He's, because they were sitting there, and now it's just he's making money again on nothing. So that's great. And then obviously, like, the community is happy because a lot of people are picking up these needs that they wanted, and these cards are now back in circulation. I've already seen people like selling some of them on eBay, stuff.
Right? Yeah, yeah. They
that.
pick them up in their trade, but it's
trading them in there. Yeah.
It's kind of goosed the economy with a lot of really good stuff. And there was stuff in there, man. I'm telling you. I mean, like the stuff I tried to get off of him for ages. And it was just, oh my God, it was so beautiful to just go, hey, man, I'm looking for these and these. Oh, send the trade. These, okay, here's how much. Boom, here's money. Yay! I have that shit I've been looking for like 5 fucking years.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It's like, it's wild. And if only there was a way to differentiate the search between Han Solo and Carbonite, because I just want to look at one, like the series 4 rainbows I have. There's Han Solo and Carbonite. So if you search Han Solo, they both come up. You can't just get the one Han Solo to come up. So
yes, we want the Boolean search.
Yeah, exactly.
We want to exclude.
Yes. But yeah, so that's that, man. I mean, so like, it's been cool, and I don't know how much longer it's going to go. Like I said, it's kind of slowed down a little bit.
You have to have some kind of ballpark in mind in terms of how much you think you've probably sold through the collection since you started.
I do, but I'd rather not say.
Say, is it north of $100,000?
Oh, no.
No. So north of $50,000?
No.
Okay, so wow, that's already less than I would have expected.
Yeah, it's not crazy, but it's nice. You buy a nice car.
Well, the pricing was solid. Everything that I got, I was really happy with. Where it was, especially since we've been kind of living in this era of Dean stagflation.
Yeah,
where things have gone. Some prices have just gone completely bazonkers, where it's completely unrealistic, impossible to understand if that's really where the market is, but that's where a lot of people's heads are on where values are, because they've seen people get $1,000 or $1,200 for a single card. So it was nice to be able to get some of that stuff at really, really reasonable, good old style prices.
Yeah, that was the thing too. It's like, I realized that like some of those cards I probably could have sold for a lot more. And I don't, and then Mac and he just said, I was like, do you want to talk prices? He goes, you just do it. And like, I'm sure there are definitely cards I've undersold. I'm sure there's cards I've oversold. I've tried to be fair. If people say that's way overpriced, I'm like, tell me why. And if I think that's cool, that's great. But if some guy's like, $200 for a gold gray gilded, that seems excessive. I'm like, no, it's not.
Not anymore. It isn't. Sorry.
So like, and so I've been trying to be good with it, and I know I'm sure in some of the more, in the other Discord stuff, they're probably like, oh my God, I took this guy for everything he's worth. I could have paid 5 million times. The thing is that like, you're selling all this stuff. I'd rather have repeat customers than like, gouge you for one card and then never have you come back. And I've had a lot of people, yourself included, do come back a couple times because you're like, you know what, I want that too. I want that card.
Well, you keep remembering shit you've tried to get from him too. I mean, at first I obviously went for the gold blueprint Y-Wing, which has been a dream forever. Off of there, and then he also had the other lime green Luke award, which is insane that they even made an award for that set. It's just like the those blue steels that they had an award for. Why?
Right. Yeah. There's so many that was like, you find that too about these sets. I'm like, wait, why is this a 0 count? It's like, because it was impossible to get. It was like literally impossible to get some of these award cards.
Yeah, my wife was able to get a couple of 1 count Hux awards that she had, it was just, who would ever, if you earned a 1 count award, why would you ever trade it away? He wouldn't. There's no way. You wouldn't even make an offer. It's foolish to even try. But when he was selling, man, that's one of the first things she went for, was one of those, 2 of those.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that he really, he seems really open to just being like, yeah, like, man, if it's just sitting here, like, so if you can help me with it, that's great. And if it's helped people, that's great. And if you're happy, that's great. And like, honestly, so it's been really cool. And yeah, like I said, I picked up, and what's funny is, like I really wanted all those base variant Hans and a couple Han gildeds and stuff. But through you guys, the people who are buying, I realized, I'm like, ooh, you know what? I should pick up that Millennium Falcon blueprint. Like, it was kind of like on my like C list.
Yeah.
But then I was like, as a Falcon guy, you can see, I was like, I'm gonna pick that up. And then I was like, I like, there's a lot of like really good Han in Carbonite luminaries, but the legendary ones, like the 1, 2s, and 3s,
Mhm.
it's just regular Han Solo. But I saw people picking those up, and I was like, I'm gonna pick up Han Solo. Like, I'm gonna be able to, and that's like, so lucky that, like, I'm able to do this. I can tell people like that's spoken for, and I'll just, because I want it.
Right.
And it's a very narrow thing there, but like there are definitely like, like the Millennium Falcon stuff or Han Solo stuff that I'm like, no. But at this point, I have basically everything I could ever want. There's like 1 or 2 things left that I'm like, I'm going to take it, but I'm going to wait. And if somebody really wants to buy it, I'll absolutely sell it to them. But, like, I'd really like the full essential set. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Nice to have.
Oh, it's a beautiful set. Definitely one you should try to round up if you can tell everybody that one's taken. I definitely would go for that
put a
one.
price on it, and people said it was too high. And that was from me looking at the eBay prices and kind of being like, well, obviously, like, like the Padme and the Leia are way more expensive than like the Han and the Chewie, so I just kind of like, and was like, well, there's like 16 of them, and threw a number out there that I'm not going to say now because I don't want people to buy it at this point. But and I gave it to like 4 or 5 people who asked, and nobody wanted it. I was like, all right. A couple of people came up to me or would email me, and they'd be like, I mean, these are like eBay prices, and I'm like, what? It's not a garage sale,
right? Yeah, the guy
like, I was like,
didn't hack this guy's account.
Right, exactly.
This shit ain't free.
Yeah, he paid good money for it. So he's deserving of getting good money for it. So yeah, it's been about a balance of like, trying to get a good value for this, but also give good value to people. As weird as somebody who I worked in like retail growing up, but I never was like a salesman or anything like that. And so like doing this is like flexing a weird muscle I've never had to use before.
Well, I mean, it's not like you're out trying to, you're not shilling, you're not trying to make a buck here. The people are coming to you with what they want. And if they don't like the price, well, tough luck. I mean, a lot of that stuff is like pay it or don't get it because there's nowhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in some of the higher end cards, people, I'd be like, I had a guy want let's say like a probably 2nd or 3rd tier Rogue One character. I don't want to say which one because it'll give away maybe to some people who it is. And I was like, and he was like, I want these cards from it. And I was very, very honest. It wasn't like I didn't give him like gin prices or anything like that. It was this tier of character price. And the person was like, no. He's like, I think I may have charged him like, I think I said like $50 for the 1C 10 count, tier 10. And I was like $50. He's like, I get 1Cs for like $20. And I'm like,
what the fuck are you talking? Where do you get what?
I was like, I don't know what you're trying to do here. Like, if it was like in Essentials where there's hypothetically 350 sets or something, okay. If I say, $1,000, you could say, no, dude, they sell for like whatever amount of dollars. Okay, that's fine. But if it's a 1 count of your card, like maybe you could got a 1 count of a card for like one of Biggs's characters for $25, but not like, but not a name character. It's certainly not like a famous character, like
Shots fired.
Yes, maybe. That's about it.
You felt that one all the way over in New Zealand right now.
Yeah, I think I don't know what time it is there. It's like, that joke
probably wide awake right now. It doesn't matter what time it is. He just sat bolt right up in the bed. Yeah. Well, that's amazing shit, man. It's such a crazy story. I mean, I've been chasing after a guy, Half Thigh, for years. He's nowhere near what Mac did. But he's a guy that came into the app, spent a bunch of money, and then just threw his phone in a volcano. And when you talk about the guy who, all of a sudden he opens a couple of packs and everybody in the app is like, holy shit, he just opened a couple of packs. I mean, literally, it's like this spider's web that goes out, and one little tickle on that web of opening a pack, and there's 50 people know about it within a day. And we're all firing in offers at this guy because he's got a bunch of the Mustafar one counts in there.
Okay.
And man, I've been firing off at that guy. And Asia Marie actually helped me find him as well over in Australia. And he's like a gamer of some kind. He does like some kind of online gaming thing, and found his Instagram, found his Facebook. I found his Twitter handle. I've messaged him every way known to man. I may have to send him a letter. I may have to send a letter to Australia to get this guy.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean,
he recently came in and started opening stuff again too for the Mandalorian.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I think a lot of times, like, I think I did that in like the year and a half I was off the app. I would open it just to be like, what's going on here? Or like I'd get an update and I'd open it and I'd be like, I don't know. Like the current layout is so different from what it was. Like it took me a while to get used to it, to find out where everything is. So like that would just immediately turn me off here and there. So that's probably, just because you want to see like, do I still have these things? Especially like my like vintage Han, I would be like,
he's made trades too. That's the thing. There's people in our group that have actually made base trades with him, or Mandalorian trades, when there was a drop for some little rinky dink thing.
Yeah.
He'd be in there sending out blinds and shit. And they're like, hey, I just got a trade from Half Die. What the fuck?
Jesus. Yeah. I mean, that's just so weird. I mean, you get it and you don't, because like some people, they're doing it and it's, it's just something they do when they're sitting on their couch. Other people create, podcasts about it and write articles.
Don't judge me.
I'm not judging you. I said, and write articles about it. Like
they write articles about it. That's right.
Right. And like interview people about it. And like, so like it's different levels of things. So like where you or I, or, the people listening to this, like, no, like it's something that really means a lot to them and they're really excited about it. Other people are just so passive with it, and so like
it's bizarre to think that somebody would sit down on the couch and go, I'm going to spend $1,000 or $2,000 on low count base variants on an app and not look at it ever again.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, yeah,
that's
if you're trading for like, like the child card, you're like, okay, then you just open the app. But like, yeah, if you're starting to buy like, the base variants and gilded stuff, you're like, I that's the thing. I never really spent any money until I got back into the app this year. And then this year it just got stupid. Yeah. I remember like the first card I bought like on eBay was a bronze gilded Hawthorne platinum painting. I spent $60 on it. And when I first came in the Hoardcast, somebody was like, you bought that? That was way overpriced. And now obviously it's not overpriced. No. $60 for this is pretty good. But I was like, I'm never going to spend more than that on anything. I was like, that's it. And then I buy a couple that were a little lower, and then I go a little higher. And I don't think I spent enough, I spent a significant amount of money on crystals and things and other cards, but especially when like the Prissy Pixel, when she was selling off her stuff, she has some really great Han Solo stuff. So I picked up a lot of that there, and her Topps Classic posters or Topps Legacy posters. Those are like my favorite set in the app as a poster guy. I had to get those, picked them all up. But yeah, like I started there and I was like, I'm going to be real kind of like, no. And now I'm like, $100 for a crystal pack? Psh, great. Let's do it.
Like, house money, baby.
Exactly. $100. Perfect. It's $100.
Yeah, it's wild. It's a very strange hobby, and I don't quite understand what it is we're doing to ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see when quarantine's over, when things start to go back to normal and people can actually get out and do stuff, if this will still be a thing that they choose to do as much as they do now. I think a lot of that's going to fall off. I hope so. I wish people would go.
I think it'll fall off a little bit, but I also think, I feel like maybe Topps knows that, and maybe they'll try to do some new stuff. I mean, knock on wood, you'd like to think, but who knows, I don't know.
Well, they always try to do something new. It's just usually something awful, or it devolves
or it
into something terrible.
Doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy that like I said, I had no idea about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 until I came in with you guys, and then I tried for wave 1, and I got the Han Rainbow in wave 2, but like you see that something like that sell out in like 25 seconds. Like I would do that every week if I was like running the app, you know. And I know you want to make it special, but there's a more of a balance between like twice a year and like twice a day. Like I
Right.
feel
Yeah.
like it's crazy they don't do more of that stuff.
Yeah, that kind of event situation, like you say, and I mean, there's like probably like that and the when the monument melds go live are probably
Okay.
like the two biggest events of the year, and both of those are around hoarding. They're both around base cards, so it's really interesting to see something that's like the rock bottom garbage thing in every card pack you've ever opened in your life turn it into be something so important, just because people get so vested in it, I guess.
To tell me more about how that's going to work, because like I'm nervous as hell, and I'm still thinking about. I'm not nervous. I know I'm going to get my monument, but is it a race? Why is it a crazy, or is it just people excited about it?
Yeah, they're just really excited about it. And then there's always the uncertainty around the technical challenge, which it seems to always be for tops, of whether or not they're going to fuck it up.
Yeah.
There's been situations where the melds, everything locked up, system locked up, and it spit out like 5 dupes to people when they melded. So instead of getting a nice low count monument, you get one that's right off the bat 5 count. And maybe
Oh,
a couple other people did that. And so now there's like 8 copies of your thing out, and they just
well,
never address that. So there's things like that happens, but it is just the excitement. It's like that finally, it's the end of the rainbow, really.
yeah.
For that's the next big accomplishment. Have you done a monument with all the other cards in the base variant before?
No, this will be my first. This will be my
Okay, so
first.
that'll be your your real rainbow with
Yeah, yeah.
the
Yeah,
whole.
I'm really excited about it, but I'm less excited because it's the wave 2, and people are putting together wave 2 monuments in like a week. It's like I looked at some guys like finish my wave 2 monument. I look at the numbers and I'm like, that can't be right. It's like 600 blue cards. I was like, how is that even like? Where is the math on that? I
Uh,
could pick up if you were like gun to my head, get 600 blue cards. I could do it in like 3 hours. Like you could go hard and get 600 blue cards real quick. But like I was like, I just don't understand. I mean, and I have 15,000 of mine because I thought that was going to be the number. So I could do 3, but I don't know. I almost, if the number is going to be like 25, which it probably will be on a lot of those, I might do 3 just to have them.
yeah, the type.
Screw it.
Well, yeah, the wave twos are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just did a wave 1, the cheer it. I hoarded from scratch to numbers in 16 days.
That's crazy. And
5,000.
but those numbers were definitely more challenging.
Yeah, for sure. I was feeling it towards the end. Let me tell you, it got to be a real drag. But
Yeah.
it's done.
Yeah. I mean, with those base packs out now, like, yeah, I mean, you could do it pretty easily. Yeah. And like, I was trying to tell Mark, like offline, I was like, man, like these people who are complaining about like, oh my God, whenever it was, what is it? It was 20,000 for a while and they dropped it back. Right. I was like, man, like they had since January, like you don't only do it now.
Right.
I'm
You could just do it now. You could start right now.
but you could, you're proof of it.
You
And
still
like,
have time. They said
yeah,
first quarter. That could be April, March.
right. Exactly. It could be so like you could just do it at any time. And like, I was like, the number should be so impossible that it really is something. Now it's like you said, it's the app's biggest problem and its biggest good, positive is that it's inclusive. So you bring more people in, but it's also so inclusive that it makes it less
Well,
exciting.
it's getting really cutthroat now too. It used to be, I mean, we used to be just kind of like a really kind of a subset weirdo bunch of people in the app with the hoarding and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's gotten to be really, really mainstream. It's really one of the major things and activities in the app now.
Yeah.
So many people hoard, and it's gotten to be very cutthroat. And you saw it at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 last time, where you had 2, 3 guys all vying for those low counts to try to complete the rainbow, and they're all working against each other and bidding against each other in trades and things like that. It got really cutthroat. That's why I don't. That's why I feel sorry for guys like you, guys for Matt, who everybody knows who your hoard is.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna get targeted like a motherfucker. Especially this year, rich boy, when you got all that Max shit in your account.
I know it's true. It's true. I have stuff. I have stuff that I picked up that I like, but that I would trade. But also, I loaded up before that this year, not just with crystals. I loaded up with cards. I was ready, but then I got like so lucky on the first day where I packed the 1 count Kylo, and I was like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
I was like, I know I'm good. So I just locked that up, and I told everybody, I was like, I have it. If you get the Han, come to me. Dak got it and was like, let's do it. I was like, done. And then once you get the 1, it's a lot easier. I mean,
it's funny how often like a 3 count will dog you though.
Oh yeah.
Because I've done so many fucking rainbows, and I'll tell you what, like a 3 and a 4 count will drive you nuts, especially if there's only 1 or 2 unlocked.
Yes.
Oh boy.
That's why yesterday for the last Falcon I needed, there's 2 unlocked. Both guys were pretty active, so I was lucky there. But I threw out trades to both of them with a double. I had from Prissy Pixel. I had both 2 count Han Solos from the first wave.
Mm-hmm.
I had the whole rainbow, but 2 number 2s. And so I was like, I'm going to send them both 1. And I was like, for 2 for a 4, it's Han versus a Falcon. Like, they had to accept this. And it was boom. The guy was like, yeah,
Hell
like,
yeah.
because like, I didn't even want to think about it. But yeah, it was it's crazy. And the hoarding, what scares me a lot is somehow for some reason Han Solo is not as popular as you'd expect him to be.
Right. Seriously,
Weird.
the fucking coolest character in Star Wars, like literally like the dude.
Yeah, but like so he's been pretty. I started to just kind of tangentially do the 2021s, here and there when I have some time. But because like there's no Carbonite or Hoth, so I was like, I'll monument it. It'll be fun. I probably won't worry about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I say that now and then I will, But I really never can get over the odds, the 2 for 1, the 3 for 1, wave 2 for wave 3, like you said, it's getting cutthroat and crazy, and people like I got my whole 15,000 cards I have for Carbonite Han just doing 1 of 1 of everything. Like I was like, if somebody's like, no, 2 for 1 Ray, 2 for 1, I'm like, I'll just find someone else. Like you said, it's so prevalent now that people who do that are kind of probably hurting themselves. Yeah. I get it to an extent. Like if you're doing Ray and you want to give up more for it, I understand that probably is easier to get more cards. But like people who are just like, I'm not only taking 2 for 1 or something. You're like, I don't know. It just seems silly. It's their base cards. I'll get more right now.
The guys that are looking to make that deal do pretty good with me. Like I've had a few of them that came at me for certain, characters and like, hey man, I'll give you a ratio. I'll give you a 2 for 1 or like a 9 for 5 or whatever kind of deal. And I'm like, hell yeah. And then like when I see other people coming for those, I'm like, hey, sorry, I got this guy. He comes around, he sends the trades, he gives me a great ratio. I'm lazy as fuck. I'm gonna go with that guy every time.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's I don't know. Like it's another thing I didn't get until I sort of got more into it was the leading lady prevalence.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Boob tax.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. I mean, obviously Rey is the lead character. I kind of get it. But I think Padme is cool, but like people like love Padme. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's more of a Clone Wars thing. I don't know. And then Jin is obviously cool, but like, I don't know. It seems a little thirsty to me, I believe would be the term in modern vernacular.
I'm not cool enough to use that term properly. But you're probably right. Yeah, I mean, we're a bunch of horn dogs and we're young males.
That's what I mean.
And it's the male-dominated hobby, it seems like, for the most part. And the digital card thing, I mean, just kind of rotates around. I am not innocent of all charges on that. I like hoochies too. I hoard them in every app almost except Star Wars for some reason.
Interesting. Is it like that in the other apps? I don't have. I have Disney because we're
like Disney. Slam's all about Alexa Bliss. Marvel's all about Ghost Spider, Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
I mean they all have a female somebody in there. And
I know your cat. I love it.
That's behind me. Did you see that?
I did. We have cats here, and they don't come up like that. But that was
creepy.
That was creepy. I love it.
Okay. All right.
There
Well,
you
dude,
go.
that's like so crazy and such a crazy opportunity. And I just want to thank you for, on behalf of myself, my wife, all our friends in the Discord, and all the people I know that you've helped get some of these lost treasures out of that place and put them back in our museums where they belong.
Right.
I'm glad that it's working out so great for you, and that it's going well for Mac too. I traded with him a few times, and it was always like really an achievement to get an accept from him or even a comment. One time, I used to say something like, "I'm always open to counters, communication, and chili recipes." Just as get a little laugh, maybe they, oh, that's a funny guy. I'll accept his trade, even though it's terrible. And one time he actually responded and said, "Try adding buffalo meat." And I was like, "Oh my god, you guys! I got a response from Mac. They're like, holy shit! I can't believe it. He speaks. It was crazy."
That's so fun. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we communicate pretty regularly over the last couple of weeks. Once we started it, and he seems like a really nice guy. I haven't haven't like talked too much about like anything personal or anything. It's like, hey man, you want to like I can help you make money. You give me cards, we'll make everybody happy, and that's it. But yeah, you could tell. I mean, like the fact that it was so kind of hard to just kind of like sit down with him over email and just hammer it out. It leads is what you said. I think I think he's a soft spoken guy, a few words who, smashed a bunch of fucking crystals and bundles for a couple of years and was sitting on a gold mine I'm so happy that everybody's excited about it and that it's working out so well and everybody's getting these cards. Like me, I mean, I'm right there with you, so it's really cool. So and like I said, I'm glad to tell the story because I don't want to like. People like should write about an IO9 and I'm like maybe one day, but I don't want to like write about me giving this guy a bunch of like tax-free money, you know what I mean?
Yeah, really. Open it up to stuff.
And especially like I wouldn't want to use his real name, but everybody who read it would know it's Mac 13. And then like I'm like we'll just keep him as Mac 13. And because I owe him that. I owe him at least his privacy.
For sure.
Considering I have his home address.
So is this going to be is this your new business now? You're going to give up journalism and become a broker, a high priced broker to the stars selling it?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I was trying to think where this ends.
You need to get Star Wars card trader in front of one crazy celebrity and you could be set.
Somebody told me that I think it might have been Biggs or somebody that like there are a couple, not celebrities, but like big people in the Star Wars community who collect or something. I don't know if that's true. Like names of he made it sound like Dave Filoni is on the app and he's like which I don't think that's true, but
you never know. And Biggs has contacts that I don't know when to trust him. He knows too much. I don't know if I can trust the guy. Plus he's got that accent.
I know it's dashing and charming.
He's a great guy. He's cool.
Yeah.
Well, Germain, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me and let the community know about this. And I think you're doing God's work. I think this, it's really funny to me. I've been in every kind of collectible community that you can imagine, from comic books to collectible card games to action figure collecting, you name it. I've been there. And it's interesting to see a hobby mature to a point where you get stories like this. Like in the comic industry, there's been these stories of these incredible collections being found, like the Mile High collection up in Colorado and stuff like that, and these fantastic treasures of ancient, collectible stuff. And it's become like this legendary thing to come across one of these, what they would call a find. And I feel like you're one of the first people to actually do that in this hobby, especially on this scale. I mean, there's been a few people that kind of resurfaced for a minute, sold out their stuff, and they were gone. But there's never been anything on this scale.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, and I'm like I said, I'm just happy everybody's happy with it, except for the guy who thinks he can get, 1 CCs for $15 or something. Like that guy can F off.
Well, hopefully Parm the Palm's out there. He's listening and he knows where to go to, and it's time to start moving some of them sweet pearls, baby.
He's the next one.
There you go. Next on the client list. Shit.
Exactly. Let's find him.
Absolutely. Well,
Thanks,
thanks
Greg.
again, Germain. I really appreciate your time and thank you again for what you're doing. Wonderful.
Thanks, man.
In all realms, in writing and helping people find cards and just being a friend in the community. We really appreciate it.
Oh no, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thanks again.
Yeah.
All right.
We are Legion.
We are all.
We are one.
We are
Watching.